Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, 20th of April. Back in the Reading Nook on a warm, sunny afternoon with a cup of tea. And of course, parcels to unbox. So the next thing I'm going to unbox is this. This is Alice is Missing, a silent role-playing game. In silence, we find truth. Alice is Missing is a silent role-playing game about the disappearance of Alice Briarwood, a high school junior in the small town of Silent Falls. During the game, players only communicate using their phones, sending text messages to each other as they unearth clues about what happened to Alice. With a full-length, licensed soundtrack and a structured narrative that unravels solely at the hands of the players, Alice is Missing is an immersive experience designed to be played in one session and without the need for a game master. So this is published by Renegade Game Studios. It's different. I mean, there have been interesting things. One of the things of late there's been a bit of a move away in some of the formats and things that you can do with role-playing games. A lot of designers have decided to have created solo role-playing games and published them as fanzines. A lot of them come up on ZineQuest 3, I believe, or most recent ZineQuest anyway, and in a range of genres. As well as looking at other ways in which you can roleplay, and doing it silently is definitely a different way. So let's crack open the box and find out what's in here. What's interesting is that basically if you're playing this on your phone by text, it's one of the few role-playing games where you implicitly have a record of what you've done and what you've said. Now, in past times, when that's needed to be done, basically you have had to record the session so that people can listen. In here, they could. I mean, there are obviously, for example, in Japan, write-ups of your game sessions are very popular, and even it can even be purchased for the public to read. But that's not a tradition here in the English-speaking hobby. Whereas now we tend to go and go and find something on YouTube or a podcast, which we can watch or listen to somebody playing the game to find out to find out how the game is played, to find out about a scenario, or just to enjoy their favourite group of players playing through a scenario. And some of them can take hundreds of hours. If you were to record a complete playthrough of something like Mask of Nyarlathotep or Horror on Orient Express, you are looking at about 60 hours of play or more. So what we've got is the rulebook and mini catalogue at Renegade Game Studios. As far as role playing is concerned, is probably best known for Kids on Bikes, essentially their take upon the Stranger Things genre. And then below that, in the box, we have two decks of cards. Essentially. That's an introduction, and essentially this adds secrets and things like that. That's what you get in the game. And the rulebook, it's actually not as not as dense as I was thinking it might be given the size. So yes, Alice is Missing is a silent role-playing game about the disappearance of Alice Briarwood, a high school junior in the sleepy Northern California town of Silent Falls. So automatically what you're thinking of, this is Twin Peaks territory. A student has gone missing, that sort of thing. And it's there is a constant thread. You see a thread of popular fiction and films on TV series in which a student has gone missing and the effects ripple round the community. The game runs over a single session of 2 to 3 hours. There is no formal game master, but one player will need to explain and facilitate the rules. In the first 45 minutes, players create their characters, their relationships to Alice, and their ties with each other. In the next 90 minutes, follow the characters' text message conversations as they uncover Alice's fate. What you need to play: 3 to 5 players, a quiet, dimly lit room, cell phones. Each player should have their own, a computer, Alice's missing cards, printout, character sheets, missing person posters, a game guide. Essentially, the facilitator is also takes the role of Charlie Barnes, essentially an NPC who moved away from Silent Falls, and he knows about some of the characters who and their connection to Alice and that sort of thing. And he's come back because he's come back to visit his dad. And Alice is Missing is designed as a one-shot event-style game, and you won't get together every week to play out a continuation of the story you told the week before. Instead, you'll sit down with the other players for about 3 hours and explore the story together from beginning to end. And after that, your group will say goodbye to these particular characters forever. Though you may certainly swap roles, shuffle cards, and play again with the same set of players. It's not recommended. The same group will see opportunities if they didn't before, but getting together a new group to play is like to take the story in directions you didn't previously explore. The game is fully cooperative, encourages sharing information between characters. This will sometimes put the characters at odds with each other. Exploring the tension between characters is an important part of the game. Okay. Comes with safety warnings, as is really essentially necessary for this sort of game. And there's a discussion of basically lines and veils of open door policy, and handling gender and sexuality, and basically essentially veils such as veil gore and violence, non-sexual consent, and veil victim blaming, that sort of thing. And of course addressing private player privacy. And then it takes you through the setup, and there is a table timer, and music and handling that as well, clue cards and starting hunches, and so on. So yes, today is Saturday, the first day of winter break. Everybody except for Charlie, who starts the game knowing Alice was last seen on Wednesday 3 days ago. Yeah. So and essentially, it's played to certain. There's a soundtrack as well. And essentially, it's played according to the soundtrack, and then at the end, Charlie sends out this first text message of the game. Everyone will join in the conversation, and essentially clues are laid out. They're timed. Their events can trigger, and there's information on the background, on the back, which will basically compare, which is triggered when the card is flipped over, and events happen and so on, and then you respond to that again and again until you get to the end point, when essentially at the end of the game, everyone sends one last in character text message to the facilitator, then flips over the debrief card and follows its directions to the end. So it takes up some setting, and it's going to take some adjusting to. So here's basically there's a basic typical card. So I'll show you what we've got on here. We have basically Charlie Barnes, the one who moved away. Background, and it's asking the question: what kind of teenager is Alice? And it gives some options. And then the secret, Alice was acting strangely. How is it different from the way she usually acts, and what is she blaming for it? And then basically there's content, essentially voicemail. How excited are you to see her, and so on. And you're building a story around that until the end. So yeah, it's an interesting is, I was trying to think, that this is a one-shot role-playing game. You're not going to play this very often, except as if you are the facilitator. So what's interesting, you are, yeah, I mean, basically, once you've played through it as a group, you might want to go and do it again, maybe once. But beyond that, it's unlikely, I think. And so, yeah, I think what's interesting there is essentially that what you've really got here is, with the right group, with the who are accepting of the setup and the consent to its content, you have an interest, a pocket, a pocket role-playing game which you can take along to a convention and run as a convention game. So that's interesting in itself. A lot of these indie-style games that have come about really in the last sort of like 15 or so years support that, because minimal setup, limited play story, and like Fiasco obviously is the classic one. So that's Alice is Missing, essentially a one-shot silent role-playing game that the owner is going to play with different groups. Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see how that plays out. I have friends who would definitely be interested in that and definitely would run it. I'd probably like to run it before. I'd probably like to play it before I ran it myself. That looks intriguing. Anyway, Alice is Missing. Available now. I will have a review of it in due course. In the meantime, thank you for watching another unboxing in Nook. If you've enjoyed this, please click the like button. If you have any feedback, please add a comment or query below. Do take the time to read them. And if you want to be notified of yet more unboxings in the Nook, please click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.